Hello, everybody. This is the Anime Bro here, and welcome to the very first episode of Anime Discussion, a show where I basically have someone to talk to about a certain anime or manga that I really enjoy. And I guess to start off things, I want to do the big three, and with me today is a recurring guest, Mr. Golden Row here.
What's up? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and we're just going to be basically talking about One Piece, what we like, what we don't like, and yeah. If you want to actually go to his channel, link will be in the description below, or it could be somewhere on my channel. And yeah, let's just get into this. I guess we'll start off.
Firstly, I want to say, don't even worry about going to my channel. Subscribe to the Anime Bro. This guy's been putting in so much work, and he really deserves it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, and yeah, let's just get into the video. We'll talk about some stuff we like first of all, so like story or characters and stuff like that. So one thing about One Piece that basically every One Piece fan knows is that its world building is really grand. It's so big and kind of complex, not really too complex. It is big.
It's complex enough to, warrant a lot of discussions around it and also have a little bit of intricacies around it, but
yeah,
it's not that complex where a standard fan won't be able to understand what's going on.
Yeah,
I think it's just right.
Yeah, world building is amazing. I guess one thing I also like about it is it's kind of related to our history, where it's not 100%. What's it called? Like, we don't know everything about our history, and the same thing with One Piece. Like, especially the big thing that we're trying to figure out is the Void Sentry, which Robin, one of the crewmates, is trying to find out. And it's a really cool thing that helps build its world history, because it's like, what is this century that we don't know, and stuff like that. And yeah,
I think the point you made, where it's very similar to our history, is very correct. Where a lot of things in One Piece, I think that's what crafts its brilliance, right?
Yeah.
A lot of things in One Piece is very relatable to how us as a society operates, right? One of the most popular quotes in One Piece is one by Don Quixote do Flamingo during the Marineford War, where he says that, like, what is true justice? True justice is whoever, winner needs it to be of whatever war or whatever conflict there is, right?
Yeah.
It's very true to our thing, where who crafts whatever history is. It's a very popular quote. The winner makes the history.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of things, right? Like, where you have the dichotomy of, Luffy and Blackbeard.
Yeah.
Two of the most, probably important characters in the damn series.
Right? Yeah.
Where one of them believes in absolute freedom and one of them believes in absolute anarchy.
Yeah.
Two sides of the same coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's even that stuff is very similar to how our world in a sense operates, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has their own rights, everybody has their own wrongs, and it's very nuanced, and every paradigm has a correct standpoint in the situation, whichever you're talking about, whatever situation there is at hand. So
yeah,
quite interesting and quite complex, which I really like about the story. Like, the themes are really complex.
Yeah. And also with that quote, you can actually see that nowadays, because for those who don't know, in American history, basically Americans have sorry about that. America has won almost every war that they've been in. There's only one war where they majorly lost in, but because America has always won these wars, everyone looks to America for what's happening. I used to live in Australia for 4 years, but even then I was still knowing what was going on in America, because that's where people looked to, because that's basically that was the country that was always winning these wars, that was always deciding what was right and what was wrong. And it really shows the inspiration, and it also shows in One Piece, because the world government, basically the big shot of everything, is that whenever they won wars and stuff like that, they were able to not only alternate what they believe is right and wrong, but also their history, because it's because of we don't know about this Void Century, but people think
the world government is the absolute jurisdiction in the One Piece world.
Yeah.
Where they want the absolute power, and obviously right now with the Great Pirate Era and the series itself,
yeah,
things like that are changing, right?
Yeah.
But they were talking about another great cleansing happening at the Reverie.
Right? Yeah.
Stuff like that will alter how history is perceived in the world, and like you mentioned, like somewhat, I somewhat agree, somewhat disagree with like your America comparison.
Yeah.
A lot of times people focus on America for a very different reason.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like I think it's a very correct point where you know, winners are the ones who craft history.
Yeah.
And you know, there are people who try to alter that. And that's why conflicts arise in a lot of different places, because people have different perspectives on different situations and how they perceive it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the global scale problems right now, you know, militaristic or, you know, humanitarian, are due to those sorts of conflicts. You know, it's quite interesting to see such a portrayal in you know, shonen manga.
Yeah.
It's quite fun.
Yeah. And I guess another thing about the world building is that like each arc affects the world differently. It wasn't so much in the beginning because I don't think it was really big until Alabasta when that started. But the more arcs that are in One Piece, the more changes the world has. Like especially like the biggest change, which I believe was Marineford. After that, it basically was like I think to this day we're still kind of having like effects from that war. Because the big power gap that was left, I should have said spoiler alert, but honestly, we're talking about One Piece, so yeah. So someone.
Oh, it's been 10 years, man.
Yeah,
if they haven't seen it, they don't deserve the spoiler alert at this point.
Yeah. So after Whitebeard died, that was a big power gap because it was like this guy was a big deal, and because of that, many other pirates started taking their territories, basically saying, "Yeah, this is mine now." And it has a big effect now because of all these different pirates and stuff like
that. That's why like it was one of the biggest deals made out, right?
Yeah.
The warlord abolishment, right? Because Fujitora, one of the 3 admirals, wanted to abolish the warlord system.
Yeah.
And that would, you know, would misplace the 3 great powers, which are the warlords, the Yonkos, and the government, right? And any sort of, you know, changes to the 3 great powers would like drastically change the world. And that's made out to be a big deal. That's why we're all curious as manga readers right now what the new SSG, you know, thing is that they're implementing.
Yeah.
Where we don't know exactly how the hell they would, you know, like offset what the warlords brought them. And it's yet to be seen, and you know, it's one of the most exciting points of how the hell it went, because a lot of the people were after, you know, people like Mihawk and Hancock.
Yeah.
Like captured them, so it'll be fun. You know,
yeah.
One Piece is, you know, getting towards this grandiose finale, and all these, you know, different things are coming into play.
Yeah. And I guess with world building, we basically like world building is like we're at 7 minutes in, and we've been talking about world building. But yeah, that's basically mostly what One Piece fans usually talk about. It's world building. Characters are good too. We got the Straw Hats. We also got like other side characters that are brought up. That's another thing that's cool about One Piece. Like someone mentioned like 200 chapters ago could be brought up so recent. One character that I really enjoyed was Bon Clay. When I first saw him, I was like, this guy, you know, he's your best friend and stuff. Then when I saw him at what's it called?
Impel Down.
Yeah, Impel Down, man. Honestly, I was kind of sad when he sacrificed himself. I was like, that's a true man right there.
Yeah, man, it's all for the blossom of friendship, isn't it?
Yeah.
You mentioned Bon Clay is an amazing character. I love Bon Clay. And yeah, that goes for every character, right? Even a character like Koala, which we saw in Fisher Tiger's flashback, right?
Yeah.
The little girl, like, turns out to be, you know, one of Sabo's right hand in the Revolutionaries.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, you don't expect all these characters, but that just shows the livelihood of, like, you know, the world they live in, right? Everybody's changing. They're not waiting for the Straw Hats to come for stuff to happen in the story, right?
Yeah.
Even with the Straw Hats not there, right?
Yeah.
I think in Wano, one of the biggest things people are interested in is not what's happening in Wano, but what's happening outside of Wano.
Yeah.
Because, you know, stuff is constantly changing.
Yeah. And especially like right now we're in Wano, there are like it's like the biggest, I think it's like as a pre-time skip, I think like the Wano saga is actually coming to an end, which in my opinion kind of started in like, I think
Wano started in 2018.
Well, yeah, Wano, not the arc, the saga basically. It started.
Well, the Wano saga started in 2012, I want to say.
Yeah,
like the whole from Punk Hazard.
Yeah, Punk Hazard, and then went from, which is insane because it's like this is a big finale, and And you could tell because like when Dressrosa ended, it was basically like, okay, it was similar to Alabasta, you know, we get the warlord out and try to find the Straw Hats. But now it's like the world government's here. They're trying to see what's happening. 2 emperors are here, and 3 of the worst generation are here. So it's like a really big event that honestly could be something similar to what happened in Marineford because of basically what is going on, like the defeat of an emperor, or actually 3 emperors now. I totally forget. Luffy's an emperor now. And yeah.
And yeah, I'm very excited to see how it ends. Sure.
Yeah. Now we basically talked about I talked about it, and Golden Road followed up on it. But I guess, you know, even though One Piece is a great series, there's always some downsides to every show, which is sad, but you know, that's life. There's ups and downs and stuff like that. So I guess one thing, I guess, obviously, One Piece is really long. Like, when I got into it, it was during the Whole Cake Island arc, and I think it took me 6 months, but that was because I was watching the anime, and yeah.
Condolences?
Yeah, I honestly was like, holy crap. when I got to Whole Cake Island, it was like 6 months, and then I was like, I actually continued until Reverie, and then I stopped and just read the manga. But yeah, that's one big thing. It's a long series, and I don't put it down. Like, if you say you don't want to get into it because how long it is, I understand. I was a sucker to do the anime. Honestly, I prefer, like, if you want to get into this, read the manga, because your pacing would help probably speed this up. Like, if I was dedicated enough, I probably would have gotten to Whole Cake Island in like 2 weeks, which is still a long time for like manga reading. But yeah.
For me, if you're talking about downsides, I have 2 different downsides for both the anime and the manga, right?
Yeah.
As for the anime, right, my biggest downside is obviously the pacing.
Yeah.
In no way, shape, or form is adapting 9 pages per episode acceptable.
Yeah.
Right? I just think that's straight up like do 1 chapter if you really need to. Even that is, for current standards, even that's absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Right? 2 chapters, 3 chapters should be a minimum.
Yeah.
You understand, because Oda takes breaks every 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, with like the schedule and considering Oda's health, I understand the anime just wants to do 1 chapter per episode, right?
Yeah.
They don't even do that. They do 9 pages per episode, which I think is absolutely horrendous, and there's no way that's excusable, right?
Yeah,
Toei
that's
should
totally.
really look at that, right? Apart from many other things that Toei should be looking at, like copyright.
Yeah.
But, you know, in terms of manga, one of the biggest downsides I would say to the manga is consequences, right? A lot of times, right, Oda fears death. When he does do death, right? When he does do that, he does it really well. Don't get me wrong, right? All that with Pedro, Blackbeard, Ace, you know, other characters which do end up dying in the series do it really well. They do die really well. Even in like flashbacks, man's a maniac in flashbacks, kills off entire islands, right?
Yeah.
I wish that in the main storyline, in the current timeline, like the current, not timeline, the current like
arc
period where we're following the Straw Hats, there would be more of a consequence to the actions that they do. And I feel that it's even more amplified right now in Wano. I would just be much more happier if there was, you know, more emotional stakes involved, in the sense where at no point do I fear that the Straw Hats are going to lose.
Yeah.
Right? They just felt like they were the overwhelming favorites the whole time, right?
Yeah.
And even in Luffy's defeats, right? We really didn't get to see them.
Yeah.
So, I just wish there was more consequences with deaths occurring. That, you know, people just say I'm the main villain of One Piece because I always want deaths. So I don't know. Maybe I'm the one who's capping.
Well, that is a good point that you put in, like, deaths and stuff. But I think the reason that I kind of find it total that's a good point. But another thing is, like, because Oda doesn't do deaths as often, it actually does open your eyes. Like, when Ace died, I don't think anyone died until Ace basically died. Like, we had backstories of people dying, but Ace was the first time where we saw someone in person at that time die, and it shook everyone because it was like, oh my goodness, Oda killed someone. And it wasn't just like some random, it was like a beloved character and someone very close to Luffy. So even though he doesn't do deaths very well, I kind of do like it that it's at a point where when you expect things to go, eventually when it does happen, like the deaths, it eventually gets
He's
more.
good. He's good with subversion of expectations.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that other stuff.
yeah,
I totally agree.
yeah,
Totally agree. And I trust Oda enough as a writer where I know that, you know, he will have consequences for, you know, some of the other stuff, right?
yeah.
And I understand the dude, like, he just doesn't like killing off characters. I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing I just don't like is fake outs either. I don't
Yeah.
like fake out deaths. That sort of stuff just puts me the wrong way,
Yeah,
right? So, you know, it's just, you know, a little downside I have. It doesn't really affect the narrative as a whole. I don't really care, but it does sometimes affect my emotional, you know, attachment.
yeah, yeah.
What's
Okay.
that?
And I guess another thing that's also pretty bad is the artwork. Like I was actually watching moments. So there's this guy, I forgot his name, but he always talks about like fantasy writing and stuff like that. And in his stream, people were spamming, "Hey, you should read One Piece." And when he looked at it, he's like, "You kidding me? This is like a kid's book." And they're like telling him like it's the wheel of time of anime and stuff like that. And I don't want to say that because
Think the artwork is bad?
well, I don't think I think the artwork doesn't justify its storytelling. Like, it
I
was,
think the artwork justifies the story really well. It's exaggerated world,
well, yeah, but you know,
exaggerated art style. And like in my best manga video, I showed that Oda can do like, realistic artwork super well and can draw, right?
Yeah.
So he purposely chooses to like not do it and go with this very peculiar art style because it would suit the story he's writing well,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
It's like it's supposed to be like a goofy pirate manga with like very dark undertone, right?
yeah,
It's supposed to be the biggest showcase of appearance versus reality,
yeah,
right? That's probably one of the biggest themes of One Piece, apart from dreams, right?
Yeah.
Appearance versus reality.
yeah,
The outward appearance of it shows it to be one way, but that's not the full like story around it.
yeah. Okay, so let me rephrase it. I don't mean it. Yeah, it does go well with the story, but what I mean is like when you're getting into it, and people talk about how amazing the world building is, people judge by appearance. So like when you look at One Piece, I know One Piece is about this grand adventure that Luffy's doing with so much world building and also great character development. But as a person who doesn't know anything about One Piece, who knows like little, and you tell them, "Hey, you should read this. It's a really good story." To them, when you look at it, it's like you really. I don't really think so because it's like it's a kid's book and stuff like that. Which
I mean, that's just their perception, right? Honestly,
Yeah.
Right. Once they get into it, they might realize, right? That's why One Piece is a very hard series for people to get into.
Yeah.
Apart from the length, they visually think it's just like, oh, it's just like a Saturday morning cartoon or Sunday morning
Yeah.
cartoon. Like in the end, it is literally a shonen. It's
Yeah.
meant for like teenagers and kid like 13 to like 18 year
Yeah.
olds, right? So.
Yeah.
I mean that's fine. I mean this is perception. It's not a biggie to me. Like
Yeah.
right? If people want to get into it, get into it. If people don't want to get into it, that's their choice. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
I just think like you've heard this quote many times that judging by appearance is not something you should do, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. I mean,
Yeah.
In the end, people do judge by appearance. That's just the reality of the situation. So I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't really bother me too much. I think because it suits the narrative well. I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That was just what I had to say. That was basically what I looked at, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair point.
and I guess since we're actually about like 20 minutes, and I guess we'll wrap this up. Just final question. Would you recommend people to get into One Piece?
I mean,
Either way.
yeah, of course. It's probably my favorite long-running series of all time, apart from Berserk. So, it's something I would always recommend people to get into if they're in for like a mood of adventure, because there's genuinely some really good lessons people can learn from One Piece too.
Yeah.
I know this sounds like really cheesy to say, right? But
Yeah.
you can get something out of One Piece. I think everybody can get something out of One Piece, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the most impactful moments to me in One Piece is, Luffy at Sabaody. Sorry, not Sabaody. Amazon Lily after the Marineford War when
Yeah.
Jinbei gives him like a counseling session, right? Because it's like you have to look at, and this is just Jinbei's like little quote, but me paraphrasing it.
Yeah.
Where he says that you shouldn't regret things you've lost. You should look at what you have rather than what
Yeah.
you've lost, right?
Yeah.
Which I think that's one of the things which just stuck with me for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And another one is, Blackbeard's speech at Mocktown,
Yeah.
where he was just like, people's dreams have no end, right?
Yeah.
That's just something which stuck with me, where it's just like, it's okay to dream. It's okay to, go for something grandiose. It's
Yeah.
okay to do that, right?
Yeah.
But that sort of dream and resolve will guide you to achieving, better things in life.
Yeah.
It's, something beautiful I got out of the series.
Yeah. And also, I also suggest you give this a read or a watch, depending on your preference. One Piece is, out of the big three, this was my first one I got into. Seeing how long it was, I was surprised that it still kept going. And I used to be one of those people like, okay, it should end. It needs to end. 20 years, that's too long. But then when I caught up, I was kind of like, I'm kind of sad when it ends, because it's like this big journey that I've been on is going to end someday. And especially since it's like 20 years and people who've been getting into it since the beginning have probably grown up with it. And it's really good.
I mean, I've been reading it since 2005 or 6, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
So you basically been with it for like a long time?
I was a kid.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid. Yeah, I know the day One Piece ends, I'll be pouring myself a cup of sake and laughing and crying and crying at the same time.
Yeah. We both say get into reading it, and thank you so much, Golden Row, for coming once again on my channel.
Of course, anytime, man.
Yeah, and like I said, link will be in the description below, and also on my channel if you're thinking to subscribe to me, which you should, because I hope to do more collabs in the future with more people. And I guess that's all. Really didn't come over there.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. And I guess I'll see you guys later. Peace.